Hey there guys, welcome to Dinos World once again. You guys have been requesting me to review the Honda X Blade. There's too much of anticipation surrounding this launch. I too have huge amount of hopes on this motorcycle. So let's see what it has on offer. Everything that you need to know about this motorcycle is what is coming up in signature Dinos style. So without further ado, let's get started with this video. So this is the X Blade, the all-new 160cc bike from Honda. In this video I am featuring the blue color, the stunning matte green color and the black color variants. We also get red and silver color variants, and you can check them out on Honda's official site, or you can watch my walk around video from the Auto Expo. But believe me, the green color is the one that's gonna sell like crazy because it sure does look a lot more premium compared to other color options. Now we all have to agree that the very first glance at this bike reminds us of the Hornet, because this bike is actually built based on the Hornet. I don't know how many of you remember, but the Hornet was actually based on the CX-1 concept that had this robo face headlamp layout, but for the Hornet, Honda chose to give it a more conventional and a normal headlamp setup. The new Hornet 160R is already on its way, with the official site being updated with the new upcoming model. I too have done a detailed first look video of the 2018 Hornet 160R ABS model, and you can watch that video too if you haven't already, and you can find the link in the description portion below. Now let's just go ahead and look at the differences between the Hornet and the X Blade. The design difference is quite apparent because the X Blade undoubtedly looks a lot more sharper, more modern and more radical than the Hornet. It also looks longer and bigger than the Hornet, thereby offering a more commanding road presence. Looking at the dimensions, the overall length of the X Blade is down by 28 mm compared to that of the Hornet. The width is up by 3 mm and the overall height is up by 24 mm. The wheelbase of the X Blade is up by 1 mm compared to that of the Hornet. The ground clearance is down by 4 mm, but the tank capacity remains the same for both at 12 liters. Surprisingly, though the X Blade appears bulkier, the weight remains the same for both at 140 kgs. The brakes remain the same for both as well, with the X Blade getting the same 276 mm disc up front and 130 mm drum brake at the back. Please note here that the Hornet gets an optional rear disc variant, but in case of the X Blade we don't get a rear disc even as an option for now. Also, the new 2018 Hornet gets single channel ABS, which the X Blade does not. Talking about the tires, both the bikes get 17-inch wheels and 100/80 tire up front. At the back though, the Hornet gets a wider 140/70 tire compared to the 130/70 rear tire of the X Blade. The suspension appears to be same on both. We get telescopic forks up front and a monoshock at the back. Talking about the powertrain, both the bikes come powered by the same air-cooled single-cylinder 162.71cc engine. However, at least on paper, the Hornet puts out 14.9 bhp of max power compared to 13.93 bhp of the X Blade. The Hornet also puts out more torque at 14.5 Newton meters compared to 13.9 Newton meters of the X Blade. But please don't be disappointed by just looking at the numbers like I was. Trust me, the X Blade's engine packs in a lot more excitement than what appears on the spec sheet. The X Blade also gets a Kickstarter apart from the push button starter, which is always good to have on board. Also, please note that the digital speedo layout is different on both the bikes. The one on the new Hornet is similar to the older unit. The X Blade on the other hand gets a better equipped speedo console, with the fonts being much more clearly visible and legible. The X Blade's instrument console also gets a gear position indicator, which the Hornet does not. Moreover, the exhaust is all new on the X Blade. The twin port exhaust sounds a lot more sportier and racier than that of the Hornet. The alloy wheel design is more conventional and run-of-the-mill on the X Blade compared to the 5 split-spoke alloy wheels that we get on the Hornet. The seat layout is longer and much more roomy and comfortable on the X Blade. Also, the tank recesses on the X Blade are slightly thicker and bulkier compared to that of the Hornet, so it feels a little awkward to begin with, but once you get a hang of it, they don't really bother you all that much. Now talking about the design of the X Blade, as mentioned before, I really love the way the RoboFace LED headlamp has come out. It really lends the bike a lot more aggression. We also get a small visor which complements the headlamp layout quite well. Coming to the profile, the tank gets sharp cuts and creases all over while also carrying the macho and muscular look. The sharpshooter design theme continues all the way to the back. The LED tail lamp looks gorgeous as it lights up, and the overall fit and finish also looks quite satisfactory. The design being a little out of the ordinary might end up appealing to some, while others might feel that it's a bit overdone. I personally think it has come out really well and will grow on us with time. The handlebar is nice and wide. The switches are of good quality. We still do not get an engine kill switch, and I guess Honda had a breakup with the kill switch in the flashback. However, the good news is that we do get a hazard light switch, which is a good inclusion. Now looking at the engine specs, as mentioned before, the X Blade gets the same 162.71cc engine that puts out 13.93 bhp of max power at 8500 rpm and 13.9 Newton meters of max torque at 6000 rpm. Now this comes mated to a 5-speed gearbox. Taking the bike out for a ride, I was seriously surprised by the kind of fun and engaging riding experience that this bike has on offer. I mean, the first gen Hornet was really good and powerful, but then the last year's model felt a little underpowered. So with the X Blade's somewhat bulkier demeanor, I was expecting it to be slightly sluggish, but to my utter surprise, the bike is an absolute delight. It revs cleanly and happily up to 100 km per hour without making any fuss at all. And mind you, this is a brand new bike, so post the second and third service, the bike would feel a lot more confident while cruising at 100 km per hour. I can say that this bike stands out as yet another example of us never forming an opinion just by looking at the numbers on the spec sheet. The bike offers good bottom end torque. The refinement is undoubtedly right up there with the best. There's not even a hint of vibration up to speeds of 101 km per hour. The throttle action is light and crisp. The clutch feel is nice and light. The gear shifts are quite smooth too. The seats offer more than adequate room for the rider as well as the pillion. So far, the Pulsar 150 offered the longest and most roomy seat in its class, but now the X Blade has to be the one wherein even your mom would feel comfortable riding as a pillion. The power delivery is nice and linear throughout. The racy exhaust sound also adds on to the sporty riding experience that this bike has on offer. Talking about the brakes, we get a 276mm disc up front and 130mm drum brake at the back. As of now, we don't even get an optional rear disc. Still, the braking seems to be quite decent for a bike in this segment. The bike does 55 to 0 km per hour in just 2 seconds, which is really impressive. Talking about the suspension, we get telescopic forks up front and a monoshock at the back. The suspension is again well tuned to offer good comfort at lower speeds and also support the bike well at higher speeds. Talking about the tires, we get a 100/80 tire up front and a 130/70 tire at the back. I really wish the rear tire was a 140 section one, but anyhow, even the 130 section tire does a good job of offering adequate road grip. Now talking about the adventure kit that was displayed at the Auto Expo, there's no official news on that yet because even the accessories section on the official site doesn't offer any taller windscreen or the top box rack. Maybe Honda will introduce it later on this year. Talking about other relevant specs, ground clearance is 160mm, more than sufficient to clear the speed breakers in our city. Seat height is not mentioned, but I'm close to 5 feet 7 inches tall and I felt quite comfortable riding the bike. I personally feel the bike would suit taller riders better, upwards of 5 feet 5 inches. The tank capacity is 12 liters, which is quite okay for a city bike, but if Honda are looking to position this bike as a tourer with the adventure kit etc., then I would hope for at least a 16-liter tank, which would offer good tank range. Mileage wise, there is no official claim as such, but I feel we can expect around 42 to 45 kmpl from this bike in city conditions depending upon our riding style. I would suggest that you go through my mileage tips video where you will find some really important tips. Price ex showroom Hyderabad for the X Blade is Rs 80,174, which is quite reasonable considering the kind of riding experience and the commanding road presence that this bike has on offer. Well, that's pretty much it for now. I just hope you found this video useful. Until next time, this is Dino saying ciao. Take care, God bless and ride safe.